present their plan and explain things to the Planning Commission and to the public. After that, the Planning Commission will have a chance to ask the county's representatives questions. And after that, we will open up the floor to public comment. If anybody has comment to make, we would ask that you come up to one of the microphones in the front of the room, state your name and your address. In the interest of letting everybody who has a comment speak, we would ask that you be as concise as possible, and we'll go from there. With that, I would turn things over to the county.
Mike, if we could just do a little bit of housekeeping first here. I want to make sure that you have the three review letters that came out today. They're all dated November the 13th of 2013. We have three letters, one of which is from Gilmore and Associates, Bill Dingman's letter.
Yes, sir.
We have the Grace Planning letter,
Yes.
and we have the county's review letter.
Yes, I have all three.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Commission, staff, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Mike Stokes. I'm the Assistant Director of the Montgomery County Planning Commission, and I live right over the hill. If you want me to speak with the phone, I can do that for you. Got to raise it up. And I'm also a resident of the area. I live right over the hill in Limerick Township. I've been out this way since 1983. I'm obviously very familiar with the property. What we're here tonight to do is to seek a simple subdivision approval for the Parkhouse tract. There is no rezoning. If anyone believes the county is seeking rezoning on the property, they're mistaken. That is not the intent, nor our application before the Planning Commission tonight. This is a simple subdivision, and I'll explain what I mean by simple subdivision. We're merely verifying what has taken place by the construction of Route 113 and parts of Driveway Bliss Road. We're drawing a line down the center line of these existing public rights-of-way that were established back in the 1930s. In many cases, in many townships that I appear in, that would be handled as a simple subdivision. It wouldn't require a formal process. But we felt in this case, since this is an important property, we wanted to get all the information down on paper. We wanted to be transparent. We wanted to be very clear about the intentions. And that's why we're going through this process, and at the advice of the Planning Commission and the Board of Supervisors, treating it as a simple subdivision of a very large 300-acre property that has a lot of history. I want to quickly go through the property, talk a little bit about the history. Before I do that, I also recognize that I'm joined tonight with my colleagues from the county. Solicitor Ray McGarry's here, Josh Stein, First Deputy Solicitor, Jody Halton's here, and Scott Exley for the firm of Bursich and Associates that prepared the plan. This simple subdivision plan is shown in back of me. It does involve the entire property that we typically think of as the geriatric facility, Parkhouse facility, as well as the Upper Schuylkill Valley Park. And in fact, what we're doing with the subdivision is merely dividing the park portion from the geriatric portion, right down the center line of the existing road. Nothing more than that. The property itself is 300 acres. The county bought most of this property back in 1807 during the our third president's second term. We bought 248 acres to establish the almshouse, the courthouse. The county operated the almshouse there on the property from that time, from 1807 up into the 1930s when it was converted into a geriatric facility. Obviously, the facility has grown, has changed with the times, and the various improvements and infrastructure placed on there was to accommodate the geriatric center use. Right now, the property is, and you see on the plan shown here, the property is essentially bounded by roads as well as the Schuylkill River. And let me just walk through it so everyone's clearly familiar with what we're contemplating here. The property itself is actually two separate parcels of land. One parcel is bounded by the river, goes along the edge of an existing subdivision up to Route 113, Black Rock Road, follow South Trap Road, and then basically follow the course along predominantly Jaeger Road. Here, this parcel at the corner of Old State and Jaeger Road is a separate tract of land that was bought in 1983. This is not part of the subdivision. So the subdivision line would go along that property, Old State Road, up Hafer Road, to this piece we also own as part of the same parcel, down to almost the intersection with 2nd Avenue. There's one residential lot there, down 2nd Avenue, down Drivable Bliss Road, and then down to the river. So that one parcel, that property is all one parcel. We bought it in 6 different lots. For whatever reason, it was combined into one parcel. All we're seeking to do is to affirm what we consider is a natural subdivision along Route 113 that goes right in front of the geriatric facility, dividing it from the farm, down to where 113 turns to go over the bridge, and then continuing down Drivable Bliss Road. And that, quite frankly, separates off the natural...
Stand over, we can't see.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. It's difficult to do two things. Let me, is everyone good there?
Your mic's not on either.
Should be.
That's a
Yes,
big
no?
one.
You also have people back here who can't hear either.
Okay, well, I'm trying my best. Okay, is that better? Okay.
We still can't see, Roy. Is can you get in front of that desk?
It's not easy with the way the screen
I can't
is.
see what's up there.
Okay. What's that? I can do that.
We need a bigger place. We need to stall this off.
Okay.
Slow this down.
Can you hear that?
Where's the okay, so I gotta avoid that. Okay, now the mic's not loud. Okay. So we're back to the properties, and like I explained, all we're seeking to do is create and affirm that lot line along the roads themselves. Now the two parcels, the two pieces, the two lots that we want to create, one is a 71-acre lot, and that would be the Upper Schuylkill Valley Park, essentially, where the nature, where our existing animal preserve is, where the access to the Schuylkill River is. That property, quite frankly, there's some big plans for that as a park. We'd like to do some improvements to the park, and this subdivision is being done as part of that process. We recently acquired a grant from the state to make various improvements along the riverfront, as well as improvements to a picnic area along the Bernard Tract in the back of that property. The other property is obviously the one I think more people are interested in, and that is essentially a 217-acre tract of land, including the geriatric facilities, all the facilities that comprise the geriatric center. Obviously, that is the large buildings that were built over almost a century of time, the hospital buildings, the North Tower, as well as the associated infrastructure. The water tower is also located on that tract. Most of the facilities are right in here, the water tower is here, so it's generally clustered right in that area. So essentially, that is being done as part of an effort to sell the property to a company, Mid-Atlantic. So the subdivision is part of that effort. We have the 3 review letters, and if it's appropriate, Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Commission, I can go through them very quickly and explain how we've addressed the different elements of that, or if you want to handle it.
Sure.
That'd be appropriate for you.
You want to state which ones they are?
Yeah, I will.
For the record, though?
Okay, absolutely. The first letter we have received today from Gilmore Associates, the township's engineer, that have reviewed the plan in compliance with the codes, zoning, and subdivision ordinance. They made various comments about the property, starting on page 1, dealing with general observations about the proposed action with the simple subdivision as I described. The first, and there's no really change to that, I would note in our revised plan, which I'll just keep referring to as Exhibit A, if that's fine. We've actually, subsequent to the plan we sent to you, we revised the plan. We're not going to confuse you with it, just to show that we can comply with these comments. And so if I refer to Exhibit A, there's things we've addressed in that. As part of that, we have revised the lot size in lot number 2. And that was a comment that will come up later, but we revised it from the 230 acres described in the letter to 219 acres. And we've basically taken out that other parcel of land, which is not part of the subdivision. So the subdivision only involves that one parcel of land. That's a parcel at the corner of Old State Road and Yeager Road. So the first comment is in regard to zoning, and I'll get to that at the end, but certainly as part of the plan, we show that the property is actually split zone. It's in 2 zoning districts. The open space zoning district covers the part along the river, the 71 acres, part of the Upper Schuylkill Valley Park. And the institutional overlay covers the other portion that is comprised of the area.
Institutional overlay covers everything.
Yeah, okay.
It's all zoned open space conservation, and institutional overlay covers everything.
Yeah, but there's a note also that refers to the area south of Trap Road for the open space. Okay.
Within our ordinance, there's that note?
Yeah.
Okay, I think when we changed it to open space conservation, we got the whole parcel number.
Okay.
So it's now just by parcel number.
Okay, that's fine. With regard to the subdivision and land development comments, the first comment, number 1, page 2, it involves some of the details about the plan, the scale of which it was drawn. We're asking a waiver, quite frankly, because this is such a large property in order to show it on one page at a reasonable scale. We are not showing at the scale proposed, required in the subdivision ordinance. With regard to item number 2, this is in regard to the 2 parcels of land. The initial plan that you have show the parcel at the corner of Old State and Yeager is part of the subdivision. This is not part of the subdivision. Note 6 was correct. We revised the plan to reflect basically Note 6, and Note 6 in the plan now in the revised plan Exhibit A are consistent. Item number 3, that is in regard to the payment of fees with topographic mapping. Of course, the county will pay those fees as appropriate, as we will pay various fees incurred by the consultants to the township in this plan review process. With respect to item number 4, here again, it's a requirement with respect to the scale of the mapping involved in the plan. We are seeking a waiver just because of the size of the property and the simple subdivision for which we're applying. Item number 5 is in regard to depicting various natural features surrounding the property within 100 feet of the tracks itself. And we have shown sufficient details in this plan. And so we're really seeking a partial waiver from showing all the details. The details we're showing are accurate based on the aerial mapping that the township did. And we feel it's sufficient for a plan of this scale. And given the fact that it's also a simple subdivision. Page number 3, item number 6. Similar item, this is in regard to showing various details within the subdivided area. We are showing some details with respect to floodplain based on the FEMA flood insurance rate maps. Various water courses, water bodies are shown. We're showing roads. We do not depict steep slopes, though there is a note 14, that indicates, you know, the importance of these and the fact that they will be certainly part of any future development and are an element in the zoning ordinance to be protected. We did not conduct a wetland survey since we're not proposing any new development on the site as well. So we showed, I think, the relevant features for a plan of this nature where we're not proposing new facilities, but merely acknowledging an existing subdivision. So there again, we're seeking a partial waiver. Item number 7 is similar to item number 4 that we discussed before. It's regarding the scale of the plan and the fact that 2-foot contours really would make the plan unreadable. So we instead used 10-foot contours to provide a more readable plan. Item number 8 involves showing net area of each lot. That's something we will do in accordance with the zoning ordinance and depict that as a note on the plan. I'll get to the zoning at the very end, but we are in essence creating 2 lots that comply with zoning, and so that's really not a problem. We're not proposing any new development on this site as well. Item number 9, with regard to a requirement to show all building setbacks. There again, at this scale, it'd be very difficult to do. And secondly, we are not showing any new buildings or proposing any new buildings. And therefore, in accordance with that, we're also seeking a waiver. Item number 10 involves a statement in regard to the acres being subdivided. We do note that the acres on the 2 lots in the revised plan exhibit A. We can also list that on the notes as well. Item number 11, 12, and 13 all address the requirement for offer of dedication of the ultimate right-of-way on the various roads surrounding and going through the tract. We have added that to the revised plan. We have to also add south Trap roads. For some reason we omitted that, but the 50-foot right-of-way roads, local road. But we are adding those as notes. We are also making the offer of dedication of all those rights-of-way, and through that, the township will acquire significant road rights-of-way that can be utilized in the future for any road improvements taking place around the property. And certainly that's one of the advantages of going through this formal subdivision process. Under additional items on the final page, page 4, there is a note that has been added, note number 14, with respect to the steep slopes. It's basically stating that, you know, we acknowledge there are steep slopes on the property, and certainly full compliance with the steep slope ordinance would be required for future development. We do depict floodplains in accordance with the FEMA flood insurance rate pattern on that. With respect to additional item number 2, it was a requirement to show a note with respect to the sanitary sewer capacity. Right now, only track 2 has sewer connections into the township and the regional sewer system. It has since the system first began. Obviously, a facility that size. We have 300 EDUs, equivalent dwelling units, purchased for the facility, and we currently tap into the sewer system, and we pay based on a flow generation rate that we calculate based on the water usage of that facility. All 300 EDUs would be transferred with Lot 2. There are no sewage facilities connections for the existing park. We have a porta-john facility there for the public. We also have a small toilet that's connected to an online system. We are not contemplating any sewer connections at this time for that park, but hopefully as we develop the park in the future, that may come to pass, and then at that time we can make the purchase of EDUs as appropriate. Regarding note item number 3, this is in regard to the various sanitary sewer easements and also their stormwater easements that go across the property. The county has been gracious over the last 30 years in conveying various sewer easements to enable surrounding developments to connect to the sanitary sewer system. So there are several sewer lines across the property. We have added notes with regard to the different recorded easements in the recorder deeds office, and that does appear on the revised plan, Exhibit A. So that will be fully addressed. Item number 4 is in regard to a note being added about other existing utilities. Obviously, in addition to sewer service, the geriatric facility has water service, and that water service is principally provided by an on-lot well and obviously a large water tower tank that's wholly owned by the county. That is on that lot, and as I pointed out, and I'm sure everybody in this room knows, it's right here up on the top of the hill. I should add and should note that as part of that water tower, we do have radio equipment on there as part of the county's 911 emergency system, and we would retain rights to that radio system and the antenna in the event of the sale of the property. But all the water service, generally from here at the center, comes from that well. We do have connections with Pennsylvania American Water. Years ago, when they extended the water line down from 113, we put a tap in from that water system so that we have from time to time purchased water from Pennsylvania American. We have a separate water service tap for the Upper Schuylkill Valley Park, and we'll continue to maintain that as a separate connection. And we do have a note on the plan, note 13, about separating all the existing utilities. With respect to gas and water, they are now one service between the two facilities, so we will separate them in the future. We do actually have a separate gas meter for the park, but it's one service account, and we can make that 2 accounts, and that will be in accordance with the note that we've supplied on the plan. We have, there was a question raised about access to property that we also own, the old Bernard tract. It's listed on this plan as lot 37. The Bernard tract is along the Schuylkill River, and at one time it had access to Route 113 Black Rock Road through an old driveway, which was part of, at one time, historically an old road that used to come by this building. We own both properties, but we also will put a note on the plan that will maintain the access for that lot. But like I say, it is owned by the county. That is part of the park, and that is a part of the Upper Schuylkill Valley Park that we want to develop into a rustic picnic grove on that Bernard site. And then last on the Gilmore letter, we had item number 6, and this is in regard to a reference subdivision and joining subdivision, the Ramsgate subdivision developed in the late 1980s. Joining the property is one of the 4 subdivisions we relied upon to ascertain the boundaries of our property. Obviously, the original deeds were from 1807, so it was important in the surveying process to ascertain accurate boundaries, and that was one we relied upon. So we made that technical correction so anyone can understand where we've got various reference points. With respect to the grace letter also received today, the various items, some of these build off and are similar to the letter we just reviewed. Looking at that letter, page 1, this is in regard to the zoning for the parcels. We did remove any references to R1. That was the former zoning, and that is no longer the case involving any of these tracts of land. That has been removed on the revised plan, Exhibit 1. We still need to add the IN overlay district and the requirements for that district, and I'll at the end sort of review how we comply with that, so we will add that. Item number 2 regarding that, similar to the items, I think 12 through 14 on the last letter, and this is with respect to the ultimate right-of-way and the offer of dedication of that land between the existing legal right-of-way and the ultimate right-of-way line. It's a significant amount of land that we're offering for dedication. We have listed those roads, with the exception, like I say, we'll add South Prep Road, and we've made that note making offer of dedication to the township, and certainly we'll work with the solicitor on following through with that as appropriate. Item number 3 was in regard to that additional parcel that was inadvertently shown as part of the subdivision. It's not part of the subdivision. The pool park property we bought in 1983 is still a separate parcel, and it doesn't change as a result of the subdivision. Note number 4 is in regard to the allocation of EDUs to various utilities that we just discussed. We are adding the various notes that I mentioned before to clarify where everything is going and how things will be addressed in the future with respect to that. Item number 5 talks about information on two lots and sort of how they comply with the appropriate zoning districts. We have to add that to the plans, but it's something that we certainly comply with, because obviously these lots are large. Basically, with respect to the two zoning ordinances in place, the OSC, which is the ordinance that covers the tract along the river, it has various provisions. Probably the most significant are in regards to building coverage and impervious coverage. Right now, we don't have much on that property, 71-acre tract. We basically have the old 1860 barn that's still there, still standing, various outbuildings, some animal pens, and parking. So that's our building and impervious surface. The building coverage is about 1% of the entire tract. The impervious surface is 5%. Oh no, I'm sorry. The building coverage 1%. The zoning requirement is 5%, so we're well under that. The impervious coverage is 2.7%. The zoning requirement is 10%, so we're well under that as well. The subdivision itself does not change any of the setbacks of buildings. Obviously, the road's still there, and we're merely drawing a lot line down the middle of the road. Not proposing any new additional buildings or any changes to the property. With respect to lot 2, obviously we have big facilities that are concentrated really in one defined area of the tract. When you start looking at the scale of the property, the buildings are really in this area. We have some of the older farm buildings down there. There are also residences here and a residence here, but generally buildings are there. The buildings themselves, the total area of the buildings with respect to the entire tract is about 1.5%. The total impervious coverage is about 5.5%. Obviously, the parking lots, driveways, as well as the buildings. The ordinance would allow up to 50%, so we're certainly under that requirement. With respect to the uses and the density, obviously this is a geriatric facility. We have various services. The services have changed as the demands of the marketplace have changed, but right now we have 467 licensed assisted unit beds, and we have 15 different independent units. We also provide daycare service, adult daycare. We have 50 licensed daycare slots. I think there are only about 32 people currently using them. So if you look at the intensity use of that, the existing assisted units under the ordinance are 2 units or 2 beds equal 1 unit, and 15 units per acre are allowed under the ordinance. We need about 16 sort of net developable acres for that to meet that element of the development. We have 15 independent units, and they're factored at 12 units per acre with residential care. a little more than an acre there, and I would assume the adult daycare would be handled like the assisted unit beds. So generally that would be another 2 acres. So we're looking at a requirement that we have at least about 18 developable acres. We in fact, by our calculations, and we'll add this to the map, and it's a little rough right now, but it's I think it's probably accurate. About 158 acres are certainly developable. So I think we're well below the standard. So I guess the point is, though this is a natural subdivision, though the road has already created this division, both lots would comply under the ordinance, and we're not creating a non-conformity situation by the mere drawing of the lot line. And we can add all that information to the map itself. Sorry I've taken so much time. It is a simple subdivision. I guarantee it is a simple subdivision. Though it's a big property we care a lot about. We want to get right. A lot of work has gone into putting this plan together to get all the information down on one page so everybody knows what is being proposed, what's involved. We want to be clear, we want to be transparent about this. But at the other hand, we want to be expeditious. We need to move. We have a significant time schedule involved, and we're looking, quite frankly, to be able to take this before the supervisors as soon as next week possible. Certainly I appreciate all the effort and work that has gone into this already by the council staff. Certainly appreciate you accommodating us on your agenda tonight to listen to us describe this important project. I'm joined by other colleagues, and I'm sure I've taken up most of the mic here. Certainly, if there's anything else we need to add at this time.
I have a question and also a comment.
Excuse me, we'll give you a chance. Okay. Mr. Stokes, I think you presented your situation quite well. Next part will be any questions from the Planning Commission, and then we will extend it to the audience. Okay. You have any questions?
Yeah, my only question with Jeff is there anything other than this? Obviously, I know the group of us just got these letters, so we haven't really had a chance to read or digest or even get through the rest of this, but were there any other comments that you wanted to add to this?
I think as we've gone along with this whole process, we've always had concerns about how the parcels are going to develop. One question I do have for Mr. Stokes is it the county's intention to remove the Upper Schuylkill Valley Park from the institutional district? Is that something that they would look to? You mentioned...
Yeah. Certainly our intent is to use it as a park. It's very clear.
Because that use fits under the OSC.
Right.
Institutional, with your institutional overlay, there is more you can do there.
Yeah.
That may not be appropriate for that side of 113.
Obviously, I can't speak for future commissioners, but I think there's the intent right now to make that a wonderful park. I think it's a great property, and we already went out and acquired a grant.
If that's the pleasure of the board, that it be.
Sir,
Yes, I'm sorry, Ray McGarry is solicitor. If that's a pleasure, we're fine with the park being one of those open spaces. That's not an issue.
You agree to that?
What about the rest of it?
That's not an issue.
What about the rest?
The corner piece on Old State and Yeager, you said that you do own that or don't own it?
No, we own it. We bought it in 1983. I guess it was Mr. Poole. So it's about a 10-acre tract. We bought it really to fill out the block. So this property here, it's got an old barn there. At one time I had a residence that we took down a couple of years ago.
So how come you're not selling it with the rest of it to make it clean?
We're just not subdividing. I don't know about the sales, but it's not, we didn't need to subdivide it. It's already a separate tract. So it's not part of this subdivision.
Was that included in part of the new open space that we had looked at?
It is zoned open space conservation.
It is?
It is zoned open space conservation.
Okay,
And
so it's not R1?
no, it's not our one. The plan in front of you
Okay.
is
Yeah,
incorrect.
Okay, so it is,
Yeah,
which is what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
that's a good point.
And it has the institutional?
It does have the institutional overlay over it as well.
So,
I'm sorry, did you say that all 300 EUs are going to stay with the Cherry Hill?
That's correct, yeah. And certainly in the future, as we develop park facilities that would warrant public sewer service, we would just acquire them at that time.
Mr. Solicitor, you're in a position to represent the county that will definitely go into open space and take the institutional
Yes, we understand
overlay
that,
off.
yes, we understand as the zoning ordinance is currently written, once the subdivision process goes through, the result would be that that new parcel number, which is the Schuylkill Valley Park, would be zoned open space and that is acceptable. to the
Without
county.
the institution.
Right.
Yes, correct.
The existing parcel number will remain with the larger part of it, lot 2.
So you didn't really answer my question. So is that selling with the top portion, or are you gonna retain it?
I don't know, do you want to talk about the
I
sale?
believe it is being sold with the transaction.
So would you do a reverse subdivision and combine it into that?
We could just sell it as 2
I
lots.
think we're going to
I
sell it.
understand that, but if you're doing a subdivision, you could do a reverse subdivision as well, including that lot as well. Why would you do that?
It wasn't necessary for us to do it as part of the sale.
Yeah. Is the purchaser here of the other parcel?
Or not, I wouldn't know.
My name is Monroe Johnson Jr. I have a question, also a comment. I want to know, this development, what will it do for the homeowners that's right here looking at you?